the rematch game, including last year, 54-20, and the Banjo Bowl begins with a short kick here. That'll be taken at the 35, returned right back up the middle. Pretty good return by a big man out to the 54-yard line. De Beer gets the job done. First return of his career, and a look at Dolegala.
Well, last week he went 22 of 39, 326 yards passing. Did not throw a touchdown, but in his 2 starts, the 2 wins, last week versus Winnipeg, week before versus BC, 0 interceptions, protecting the ball nicely.
Different animal today against the Bombers defense in this crowd at IG Field. 33,500 for the sellout. They'll hand it off, and immediately wrapped up. Kyrie Wilson all over Jamal Morrow. Morrow, a big part of this Rider offense.
Couple of changes up front for the Saskatchewan Roughriders on offense. Logan Bandy will play for Evan Johnson at guard. Brandon Council goes in for Colin Kelly at right tackle. And they used Jamal Morrow on the Labor Day weekend win out of the backfield, throwing him the football successfully.
More receiving yards than rushing yards for Morrow last weekend. Dolegala pressured, hitting the head, jumps ahead. There's a flag at the play as he's wrapped down by Big Hill, but it looked like he did take a hand up in the face along the way.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's exactly what the call will be. Not sure the number. Ricky Walker looks like he is the guilty party.
Major foul, roughing the passer, contact to the head. Winnipeg number 9, 15-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage and a first down.
You have to really get up there for Walker, although he's not a small guy either, but at 6'7", saw the contact to the face mask and the head. Walker knew it immediately.
Winnipeg leads the league with the fewest defensive penalties taken so far this season. A big one there. And now a completion, first of the day for Dolegala, as he gets it to Kean Schaefer-Baker against this Winnipeg defense.
Well, I actually highlighted Ricky Walker. I think he is one of the unsung heroes of this defense, playing very well throughout the last 4 or 5 weeks. The interior of that D-line. See how Logan Bandy holds up there. Adam Big Hill. Great conversation with him about what happened on Labor Day. We'll talk more about that as the game goes on. And another underrated player in that secondary, Evan Holm. I think he's having an all-star year.
2nd and 3. They'll get it out into the flat, back to Schaefer-Baker again. Bounces off 1 tackle, has a first down, and a little bit more along the near sideline. He only had 1 catch last week. He's got 2 already here today.
Interesting that the Bombers in this won the toss in this Banjo Bowl and elected to defer to the second half. No real weather or wind involved with that decision. They wanted to put their defense on the field first. That return to midfield got Jake Dolegala good field position in drive number 1, and now he's in scoring range.
And that penalty, of course, keeping the drive alive as well. May have been looking at a 2-and-out. 1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 21. Back on the ground tomorrow, nowhere to go. Takes it down to the 20, a short pickup on first down carry for Jamal Morrow.
I think what has been very impressive from Jake Dolegala is 2 things. One, his poise and his ability to push the football, go through his progressions while still protecting it. Sometimes there's a fine line there.
2nd and 8 for Dolegala. Looks to his right. Nobody there. Now he goes over the middle to the end zone. Misses him. Looking for Schaefer-Baker. Threw it behind him. Would have been a touchdown. Instead, it's an incompletion.
Let's take a look at how Jake Dolegala, again, this is start number 4 for him. Keep that in mind as he's looking out, going through his progressions. Looks wide to the wide side, comes all the way back to the crosser, and just a little bit behind Schaefer-Baker, or that's his first touchdown throw of the Banjo Bowl. Remember, Jake Dolegala played last year in the Banjo Bowl when everybody got sick, and he had to drive all the way to Winnipeg on game day.
That's right. And Lawther, who had 5 field goals on Sunday, knocks one through. The Riders are on the board. They lead 3-0. Zach Collaros about to be on the field for the first time today when we return to a sold-out IG Field. The Banjo Bowl.
Yeah, I mentioned that Zach Collaros won both as a starter for Saskatchewan and twice as a starter for Winnipeg in this game. And I can tell you from experience, this is the toughest game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the regular season, no matter what the records and no matter what happened last week. It just is. I mean, this is the type of game sometimes in your journey as a player or coach, you have to make every single opportunity happen.
First touch of the game for Brady Oliveira goes for about 8 yards.
What I mean by that is you're going to get chances for big plays, but if you don't make them in this game, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will start to roll. And he has not lost back-to-back games as a starter for this football team. And he certainly doesn't want to start that now.
4 touchdown passes last year. Winnipeg scored on the first 8 possessions of that ball game. Prukop into the game here, short yardage. Job's done. Picks up the first down for Winnipeg.
Up front for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Patrick Neufeld and Jeff Grave got their hands full with Micah Johnson, who is having an underrated quiet year, but an all-star year on defense. More on that in a second. And Nick Dembski, the Labor Day weekend, with a season high in yards from scrimmage.
Johnson, 3-time All-Star already in his career, 4 sacks this season, handful of tackles for a loss as well. 1st and 10 Winnipeg on their own 51. Collaros takes the handoff, has a completion. Brady Oliveira, that'll be a first down as they get Brady involved in the air attack.
Boy, Oliveira really understands and has a nose for that first down marker. He knows exactly where it is on every play, and he knows he needs to keep his balance and get that extra step or two and then dive, and he gets it by half a yard. Knew exactly where it was.
Winnipeg marching down to the Rider 49. 4 options. Wide right for Collaros. Fakes it, takes off on his own. Collaros has a first down as he slides inside the 40. He doesn't do it very often, but he picks one up right there.
I think when he sees that he's got 4 receivers out there in the way that the Riders have rotated to those 4 receivers, he just sees a natural escape lane off the backside and goes ahead. You're right, doesn't do it often, but he did hook slide nice and early to make sure there was no second guessing, and that you got to be careful with if you're a Rider.
From the Saskatchewan 38, Collaros, another completion down to the 30 as Winnipeg executing the offense brilliantly so far. A connection there to Kenny Lawler for the first time today.
Kenny Lawler, just a couple of catches in the Labor Day weekend, but he had the big overtime touchdown after the Riders had gone up by 8 in the first overtime period. Zach Collaros in his turn, first play right down the field to Kenny Lawler. Did not get the 2-point convert, and that's the difference on Labor Day.
Lawler with 186 yards in his last 4 games, but 3 touchdowns over that stretch. Here's Oliveira. That'll put him over 1,000 yards on the year as he takes it all the way down to the red zone for the Bombers.
Yeah, good for Brady Oliveira getting over that 1,000-yard mark this quickly.
Flag right at the end of this play as well.
He was just under 100 yards on Labor Day, the weekend, 88 yards, but as a team, the Bombers rushed for over 100. See what the penalty is.
Secondary discussion here. The officials had already huddled. It's against the Riders. Andre Proulx calling the shots today.
Interesting how Andre Proulx is discussing this, but all the players know exactly what's going on. They just moved it themselves.
The ball has been placed just inside the 10-yard line, despite this conversation continuing. Nice start for Winnipeg so far. Pretty patient drive, no big chunks, but just steadily 8 yards and 9 yards and methodically picking their way down the football field.
And balance with Brady Oliveira.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 91. From the 20-yard line, we're going to go half the distance and a first down.
Anthony Lanier getting called here.
Yeah, you're going to see in the middle here, Anthony Lanier gets twisted and tied up. Now he's to the right of your screen right here, and he rips the helmet. And then with the helmet on the ground, he gets up and then throws the helmet away.
They'll get it back to Brady Oliveira. A couple of yards.
He was working on the extra offensive lineman, Liam Dobson, there.
Oliveira, 3 carries already in this game for 20 yards, 10 yards in the air as well. Short pickup there, 2nd and goal from the Rider 8. Winnipeg 6-2 against the West so far this season, 5-1 at home. Kolaris looking to finish off a drive here. 2nd and goal from the Saskatchewan 8. 3 options out to his left. Looks to the right, throws to the right, has a man! Jones stops! Trying to push through to the end zone, but the Riders are there to deny him.
Okay, so you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now. You have Brady Oliveira as our starting tailback who just went over 1,000 yards. Your 3rd down, but you only need about a yard, maybe 2. They're putting in short yardage.
Prukop into the game. He had a couple of touchdowns in the Banjo Bowl last year.
The length of the football more than a yard.
Will look to try to get Winnipeg on the board. Huge push here early. Prukop's in. Touchdown Winnipeg. Dakota Prukop finishes the job, and Winnipeg goes on top for the first time today at home.
Sellout on Labor Day, on the weekend on Sunday in Saskatchewan, sellout here in Winnipeg. The tailgating's been going on all morning long. The parking lot's jam-packed around this stadium, driving in, and they're into it after that methodical first drive by Zach Kolaris.
Castillo for an early 4-point cushion. And he knocks it home. Winnipeg responds after the Riders win up 3-0. Kolaris, Brady Oliveira on a drive finished by Dakota Prukop.
Went to work on a 9-play drive that went 70 yards and ended in a major, and took off and ran 1 play. Good balance between the run game and throwing the football. Got right down to the doorstep with Dalton Schoen, and then finished it with Dakota Prukop.
5th touchdown of the season for Prukop. And this one will be kicked away. Mario Alford gets underneath it at the 21, back to the 30, patiently trying to find some space. There's a flag on the play as Alford brings it all the way back out, just shy of the 50. We will sort out that flag when we return to a sold-out IG Field on a beautiful day in Winnipeg. Up with an excellent performance last week. 326 yards, completing 22 passes, and looking calm and cool the entire way.
Yeah, against a great defense, high pressure situation. That was the 2-point convert. Great poise and composure in start number 3 at that time. This is start number 4.
This drive starts just outside the 20. They will give it to Morrow, and Morrow picks up about 3 or 4 yards on that first down carry.
Now, when we talked to Craig Dickinson this week, he made an interesting point. He said, you got to take on different types of challenges, and Jake Dolegala has done a great job. Did against the BC Lions, a home game. and then against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, another home game. Now he's on the road on the Banjo Bowl dealing with this crowd.
Different type of atmosphere for sure. 2nd and 7. Big Hill will bring some pressure. Near side has a completion. Great tackle by Home to make sure that Jareth Stearns couldn't turn the corner and pick up a first down.
Yeah, I highlighted Home in the starting lineups for a reason. I just think he is having an outstanding season. I mean, he had a great training camp. The teammates were raving about it. Adam Bighill leads this defense in tackles, but Evan Home is 2nd on the team. 46 defensive tackles. That's number 2 on the team, and he's added 10 knockdowns. He's getting around the football. He's having an all-star year. No one's really talking about him.
Had a sack last week. Jamal Parker waits back on his own 30. Adam Korsak averaging just under 48 yards per punt. Lets this one fly. A little bit of a low kick. Parker takes it at the 33. Near sideline. Has a little bit of space all the way back out to the 51 before he is pushed out of bounds. Interesting week for Zach Collaros, no doubt about it, after the Pete Robertson incident in the Labor Day game. We'll have more on that.
Ability for his actions, not just to Collaros and the league. Earlier this week at Riders Day 1 practice, Robertson addressed his teammates and apologized for putting them in a difficult situation last weekend and making himself unavailable for the Banjo Bowl. And head coach Craig Dickinson confirmed that the club has disciplined Robertson internally as well. Guys?
So now we move on, Glenn?
Yeah, I think we can move on. I mean,
look at this. Brady Oliveira, a big one all the way down to the 30. Broke a few tackles, and they finally track him down. It's the rookie Jackson Ford who gets there and stops another big play from Brady Oliveira.
Well, you know, I think Brady Oliveira just told us what we should do with regards to last week's story. It's over. Let's move on, because he's moving on. What a run up the middle. Just bobbing his way and weaving his way through that defensive line in front 7, and Adam Bighill on the sideline, who gave us a great perspective on that whole episode last week, and Pete Robertson and how they would treat it if it was their teammate.
Now they'll hand it off to Schoen, and he gets wrapped up down inside the 20.
But Bighill looked at it in a big picture way and talked about the game and just the respect of the game. And when you look at his direct quote to us, it's in football, you have to control your emotions. It's mandatory. You can never let your emotions dictate your decisions. And that's exactly what happened. Pete Robertson is not a dirty player. He's going to serve his suspension. He'll be back. We're moving on. Bombers in the scoring position.
That being said, the Riders could very much use him today. 2nd and 4. Collaros under pressure, throws it ahead. What a play by Zach. Finds Brady Oliveira down to the 5. End zone touchdown, Winnipeg. A little magic from Collaros, and Oliveira finishes the job.
Well, 2 things. First of all, magic from Zach Collaros, keeping the play alive, finding a target and getting it to number 20. But was there any doubt that Brady Oliveira was going to get in the end zone here when he got the football? None. He was a freight train. He was getting to the goal line after he saw his teammate make that play. He was going to score.
What a start to this game for Brady Oliveira. If you've got him in fantasy, you're loving life right now. He's got a touchdown already. He's got almost 60 yards on 4 carries and a couple of big plays in the passing attack as well. One more knocked through, and the Bombers are rolling early. 3-play, 59-yard drive that took us 1 minute and 43 seconds.
Just to the left of Zach Collaros is Brady Oliveira, who's going to spy for blitz, and then when he doesn't have a guy to help out, then he just releases as a safety valve, and just in time Zach Collaros sees him. And away goes Brady Oliveira again. Saw there's going to be some contact right around the goal line area, and there's no way he would be denied on that.
9th touchdown of the season for Brady Oliveira. 6 of them on the ground, 3 of them through the air, and his monster season continues to roll on.
So I think what happens is two-man.
He's already put up numbers that a lot of players be happy with in a game. 3 minutes left here in the first quarter.
On pace for a 200-yarder. But yeah, I mean, the Riders are going to have to make some defensive adjustments because a great first quarter for number 20, and again, over 1,000 yards. Only needed 10 coming into this one. We're in what, week 13?
Cruising along. Lagala awaiting an opportunity. They'll kick it away from Alford. This is taken by Bertrand Houdon, drafted this past year. Brings it all the way back out. Powers his way just shy of the 40. Pretty good return. And now Dolagala has to put together a drive to get some momentum here, doesn't he?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you in this game for sure, this can get out of hand quickly. I mean, there have been some lopsided scores in this one. And I don't even want to bring up the one because I've been spending my whole life trying to forget it back in the 90s. I want to say it was 52-3 or something like that.
That doesn't sound very good, Glenn.
No, not fun. Not fun at all.
We'll start on their 40-yard line. Dolagala looking for Jones. Incomplete. Mario Houston on his back there.
Big play a week ago in that game. He was working on Mario Houston, who tried to undercut a play, and he got a nice 45-yarder in a key moment in that game, but it wasn't happening on that dig route.
Second down. Big Hill bringing pressure again. Dolagala gets it away. Incomplete. It is he threw. Jeffcoat was there to finish the job on the Riders quarterback.
Absolutely right about the blitz. First of all, Big Hill's going. You'll see him to the right of your screen step up. He's going to crawl towards the line of scrimmage here, and then he has timed it up nicely. Jeffcoat and Jefferson. It was Jackson Jeffcoat with the contact. Found that target area, clean hit, just as the ball was being released.
2 and out for the Riders. Gorsak takes it cleanly, gets it away. Another low kick. This one will bounce at the 25, trickle all the way down. Parker takes it on a hop, brings it back up the field. Gets it back just outside the 20. And Zach Collaros and the offense back out here on the field.
I want to show you this touchdown throw where he created some magic here, kept it alive. He took a pretty good hit here, and that, as we were watching on the sideline, there's some in the back of his helmet. He was having some attention down here on the sideline during that last Dolagala series. Back out there, looks like he'll be okay, but we'll keep our eye on him.
Zach has started 4 of 4 for 42 yards and a touchdown pass in this game. Blow up banjo. Bunch of different types of banjos in the house this afternoon. Collaros to his right. Completion. Another big one. Brady Oliveira, look at him go. Unstoppable here in the first quarter is number 20 in blue.
The Riders brought a few more defenders into the box, but they put Brady Oliveira and they took him out of the box, put him out on the sideline. Lots of space in front of him. And he's not running out of bounds. He's going in to find contact. What a start to this game for Oliveira.
3 catches already in this game. Collaros a perfect 5 for 5. On the ground again. A good hard 5 yards against this Riders defense.
Well, this is how they started the game anyway. Micah Johnson having an all-star year quietly, and there is Cody Roscoe out of Syracuse, who is playing for Pete Robertson. We told you that story. There he is. He's replaced him for this one game. They're putting Derek Moncrief at linebacker. Now, he can go back and play safety. They don't have Jaden Dalkey in the lineup. Jackson Ford will start there, but they can rotate him through there because C.J. Rivas is back on the roster as well and can play in Derek Moncrief's spot.
Moving pieces on that defense. Kolaris looks to his left. That's where he's going to throw. And he's got Dembski, who gets tripped up after he picks up the first down, or he might have had a lot of room to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Moncrief got him, though.
Just made the tackle. He gets outside, and he's going to just run this quick out. Moncrief's in good position, tried to get to the football and didn't, and just trips him up, because if he doesn't get that one, he's still running.
Fourth different player to catch a ball from Kolaris in the opening quarter. Final play of the first. Dembski is shown into the slot to the left. They'll have a completion at the 50 for a short pickup. First of the game for Rasheed Bailey, and that is how the first quarter will come to a close. Zach Kolaris, perfect first quarter, no incompletions. Brady Oliveira, over 100 yards of total offense and a touchdown. Bombers lead the Banjo Bowl. Back to IG Field, the Winnipeg Bombers on top, 14-3. Pretty dominant first quarter. 158 yards of offense, 113 of them by their running back, Brady Oliveira.
So there's exactly what the Riders have to do defensively to make an adjustment. Key in on number 20. He's having a big quarter and a big game so far. You know, people in the panel and everybody was talking about how the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are they the same dominant team they were? Are they still the #1 team in the league? And after they lost to Ottawa, they went on a 5-game win streak, including one that they put 50 on the BC Lions just to prove that point and change the narrative. And, you know, I think after the loss on Labor Day, they're trying to do the exact same thing right here.
That was the first loss they had since Kenny Lawler rejoined the lineup. They had been perfect 5 for 5 up until that point. Kolaris is 7 for 7, 75 yards and a touchdown pass in this ball game. 5-man pressure. Kolaris dumps it off over the middle. Another completion. It's up to the 40. Back-to-back passes to Rasheed Bailey, and he's got another Winnipeg first down. Their 11th of the ball game.
So many weapons in this Bomber offense and in the receiving core. But Bailey, who is a slot just outside to the left of the short side of the field on a crossing route. He's had a quiet season, but is available and ready and contributing in other ways. Maybe the best run blocker in the receiving group.
They all have a role, right? He's
Absolutely.
got 3 touchdowns on the year, too.
But don't fall asleep on 88.
Back to Oliveira. Short gain right up the middle on first down.
So that's the question. I know the panel talked about it. You know, some people have talked that this club is starting to get a little bit older. And are they still #1? And you look at the stats and the numbers and the real sort of indicators when it comes to wins and losses, and they're #1 across the board with that great 9-3 record too, and don't lose back-to-back. Now there's a lot of football to be played here. I'm not giving them the win at the beginning of the second quarter, but we're seeing that the field is tilted right now.
2 of their losses in overtime. This one incomplete. Multiple flags here on the play. That 8 passing touchdowns allowed is a pretty impressive stat for this Winnipeg defense.
Boy, Nick Marshall almost had one there. He had an interception last weekend.
Offside, Saskatchewan. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
He and Jamarcus Hardrick having a little discussion there after the play was over. Marshall going back to his side of the field.
Tied for second in the league in interceptions, behind DeMario Houston, who has 7 for the Bombers already this season.
Yeah, a couple of the top 4 guys in this game tonight.
Prukop needing a yard. He's going to try to stretch this out. He's got a little bit of space, takes it down to the 25. Comfortable pickup there for Dakota Prukop.
He's
got to be very nice for the coaching staff to have a reliable veteran guy like Krukop to handle those duties.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's so important, these short yardage plays for every team. I mean, we could have a rating system on the best short yardage quarterbacks in the league, because there's some great ones, and that you have to become a specialist and take pride in it. You only get 4 or 5 snaps a game sometimes, but they're huge snaps, especially on 3rd and 1 when the coach goes for it.
I like the idea of a power rankings of short yardage QBs. Somebody listening.
There you go.
Put it together on X for us, or whatever it's called. Here's Collaros on the run, out to his right, has a completion at the 5. Kenny Lawler, spin move, trying to stay on his feet, lunging forward, and they're going to mark him just shy of a touchdown. That was close. He's saying, I was in.
Still trying to sell it. Let's take a look and see if he was. Nick Marshall trying to make the tackle. Nice spin move there. Jackson Ford gave it a shot.
Ooh.
Well, the ground can't make you fumble, so he's down there. It's whether or not he was down before the ball crossed the plane.
The previous play is under review by the command center.
Oh, I think he kept his knees off the ground as he lunged forward. I can see why he was trying to make a case for this. It looked like that right knee was going to touch down, but it didn't.
There was space underneath there, wasn't it, from that look? This one will take another look. Is that left knee on the ground, or did it touch and bounce up? The ruling is it's on the 1, so they're going to have enough evidence here to overturn it into a touchdown. But every potential score is automatically reviewed. It's just hard to tell the timing of that left knee, and the knee touched and then came back up. That's what I think the ref saw.
I think it was.
I think by his conviction.
Upon review by the command center, the ruling on the field is overturned to a touchdown.
Kenny Lawler knew it all along, didn't he? 5th touchdown of the season. And the Bombers have blown this thing wide open early.
This was successful for the Bombers on Sunday to get Zach Collaros outside. Lots of motion, change of direction. Lawler crossing the field from the left side of the offensive formation all the way across with his quarterback, was wide open in the hole, and then he did cross the plane.
Kenny Lawler.
Timer. Please reset the game clock to read 12:28.
We had mentioned they had not lost a game prior to last week since Kenny Lawler was able to rejoin the lineup. Winnipeg's offense averaging over 31 points per game. And Castillo gives them 21 points early in the second quarter. A 9-play, 88-yard drive finished off by Kenny Lawler, stretching out for the touchdown. Game tonight. Excellent rematch coming up in Edmonton between the Stampeders and Elks after just a thrilling finish in that Labor Day game 5 days ago. Quite a bit of green in the crowd tonight. Tickets not easy to come by. Game's been sold out for quite some time. They're hoping their team can figure it out here. This guy can always help. Mario Alford trying to find some room. Takes it back just shy of the 40. That last drive for Winnipeg took over 5 minutes off the clock. So Jake Dolegala here, 3 of 6 to start this game, just hasn't been on the field much.
Take another look at Kenny Lawler here. The Riders and Micah Johnson told us that motion before the snap they call eye candy. It tries to distract the defenders, but you got to drag across the field, find that open spot. Lawler did, and Collaros delivered the strike.
Saskatchewan will start this drive on their own 39.
It's loud in here.
Just a bit. Eh?
It's just a bit. It is loud in here.
And it's just been like constant noise the entire game. Those things obviously would help with that. You gotta manage your vuvuzela use though. I mean, you can't be on that thing the entire game. That's just too much. I am a big fan of the cowbell though. Lots of cowbells in attendance here.
Makes it more difficult for the officials to communicate as well. They're trying to hear from the command center and
trying to figure out what they're sorting out here. No flag on that return.
This might have been just the spot of the ball, but it's taken a little bit longer through the crowd noise.
Will remain on the 39. Dolegala gets this one away far side. Just over midfield. Schaefer Baker's got it. His third catch of the ball game.
Yeah, the number one goal here for Jake Dolegala is just to simply stay on the field for a few first downs, just to take away some momentum and keep Zach Collaros on the sideline. I mean, that's step number one, and then start thinking about points when you get closer, but slow this momentum.
Just the third first down of the game for the visitors. Schaefer Baker up into the slot near the top of your screen. Morrow will pop over to the right of Dolegala here. Bombers bring some pressure. Dolegala trying to escape, staying on his feet, and eventually tracked down from behind. But he avoids a sack and actually picks up a couple of yards before Jeffcoat takes him down.
He will run. He can run. Sort of prototypical 6'7", 240-pound pocket passer, but has 15 carries coming into this one in just his 3 starts.
Jefferson and Jeffcoat both there to bring him down. 2nd and 7 after the 3-yard scramble pickup. Dolegala gets this one away near side to Jones. He's got a completion for a first down. And the Riders quarterback starting to settle in a little bit. Looks like some extra protection here from the Riders as well to give him some time.
Well, good timing on the throw. And this is Jake Dolegala with a little play action 1-2 step throw. And just as Jones is coming out of his break, that's a great angle to show you the receiver coming out of his break with the quarterback releasing it right then and leading him to the sideline.
First catch of the game for Jones puts him over 700 yards receiving on the season. Dolegala wanting to throw again. In trouble. This time he will be taken down. Ran out of room. And a number of Bombers were there for the sack.
Yeah, I'm going to give the assist to the secondary for the Bombers on this one because Dolegala had time initially. Pretty good protection here. There's play action now. He's got 1-2, stop, throw. Nope, covered. Now it breaks down and you're in trouble. Cramby got there too.
Cramby gets there. His first sack of the season. 2nd and a long 17. They'll hand it off to Morrow right up the middle. Jamal Morrow trying to push ahead. Gets a little bit of help. They stop him just shy of the 30, but a pretty good pickup there on 2nd and 17. Jamal Morrow, his best run of the ball game.
It'll be tempting here, I'm sure, for Craig Dickinson, but it's 3-4 yards. I think you got to take the points.
And that is what they will do.
It'd be tempting when you look at the scoreboard, but
it's at least 3 yards.
But we're in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, take the points. It's a good decision.
Brett Lawther coming into this game, 28 of 32. Has hit one today from 27 yards. This one will be straight away from 39 yards out. To stop this Winnipeg 21-point run. Right down the middle. Cannot be any more accurate for Brett Lawther today. He's been on a nice little run.
Here to a game in Winnipeg for a long time, since the 2019 championship.
Collaros pressure in his face, dumps it over the top, and that one will fall incomplete. First incompletion of the day for Collaros.
Arizona Cardinal, former Jet with the Jets, but back in 2019, a big part of that run, 2 seasons with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and of course the Grey Cup celebration with the big old school fur coat and cowboy hat. That legacy has lived on here for a lot of fans in this province.
Yeah, that is an image that you tie in to that Grey Cup championship team. Yeah, he was very excited to get back up here to Winnipeg and talked about how important this market, this team was. Collaros over the middle, Lawler, he's got it at the 45. And Kenny Lawler, his 3rd catch of the ball game. There is a flag back by the quarterback who's slow to get up. A bit of a rough ride for Zach so far here today.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Holding, Winnipeg number 68. Major foul, roughing the passer. Saskatchewan number 91. We're going to go up 5 yards. Automatic first down.
This is who got the penalty on the late hit on the quarterback on Zach Collaros. That's Lanier coming off the edge, goes around, and Collaros gets rid of the ball there, and then the 2-hander in the back. That's one. Also a low hit. I believe it was Miles Brown on the low hit. And then there was a holding at the line of scrimmage as well.
They got it all sorted out. It's a first down Winnipeg on their own 45. Empty backfield for Collaros this time. Thought about going deep. Now dumps it off to Brady Oliveira near side. And Brady stumbled a little bit and then was finished off by A.J. Allen and Larry Dean.
I think you're right about the rough ride that number 8's taken in this one here this evening. I mean, Larry Dean's up in the line of scrimmage, but he's show blitz, and this is 4-man pressure. Lanier with another tackle as he's throwing. I mean, that's not a late hit or a bad hit in any shape or form, but
still something Zach has to deal with.
It's
though, right?
Yeah, it's another ice bag later.
3 more yards is what they need. Oliveira's got that and more. Brady Oliveira takes it down inside the 50. That'll put him over 70 yards on the ground here in the first half.
Larry Dean in the middle of their screen here. When you can get your lineman onto the linebacker, you've got a chance for a play in the run game. I believe that was Jeff Gray getting out there on Larry Dean, getting a nice block, lead block in the hole. Oliveira could get to first down territory.
Oliveira well on his way to another 100-yard game. He already has 5 of them this season. Now they'll give it to Bailey. Rasheed Bailey, heavy collision at the 45. A flag in the secondary as well.
With Jackson Ford coming up to make a tackle on Rasheed Bailey.
Holding, Winnipeg number 10. 10-yard penalty. We're going to replay first down.
Nick Dembski trying to open up some space for his fellow slot receiver. Didn't get away with it, and that'll back Winnipeg up with just over 16 minutes remaining here in the first half of the Banjo Bowl.
Jackson Ford, a different type of player than Jaden Dalkey. Dalkey more of a linebacker type size.
Bigger build,
player,
yeah.
Bigger build, both can hit though, and Jackson Ford more of a DB size safety.
11th overall pick. Second pick of the second round in this year's draft, Collaros. Now he's going to heave one way down the field, looking for Schoen. Schoen hauls it in. Biggest play of the game for Dalton Schoen. He made it look routine.
Deontay Williams didn't really know how to play this. This is just a straight sort of cover 4 look. Nick Marshall, this is not Nick Marshall's man. He's got the shorter zone. He just follows it on because he sees the ball being thrown in that direction. That was Williams over the top that just kind of got crossed up and basically had a good ticket to watch that one.
Oliveira this time finally stopped near the line of scrimmage. The Riders will throw him back.
Quite the adjustment to the football for Schoen to spin all the way back around, get the feet in bounds. You only need one. He got two.
He did make it look easy, but it wasn't easy, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And Deontay Williams was just kind of, I don't know, maybe mesmerized by the spin or something.
He was just there.
He was just standing beside him, not really sure how to play it. Another big year for Dalton Schoen.
2nd and 10 for Winnipeg. Polaris. Back to Schoen again. This time he's in. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Zach Collaros' 3rd passing touchdown of the first half. And it's looking like a blowout in the Banjo Bowl.
Well, I say another big year because, you know, the last 3 games for Dalton Schoen, the yardage hasn't been off the map. The yardage hasn't been over the 100-yard mark in the last few games, but he's scoring touchdowns. He's had 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Now he's added another one in the 4th, plus tacking up some yards. Just another real consistent big year for Dalton Schoen.
24 career touchdowns for Schoen. 16 as a rookie, and now 8 already this season. Zach Collaros, we talked about the interesting week he had after taking the headbutt from Robertson. He's 12 of 13 for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half. Castillo for a 22-point lead. And that's exactly what he does. Blue Bombers getting some revenge on the Riders, at least here in the early going.
A receiver like Dalton Schoen, who's got a tremendously high football IQ. Watch him take a look at where Williams is lined up. He's looking at 24 right now. If he's head up, he probably runs a curl inside, but because he sees inside leverage from Williams, he runs the out. Basically, a read route where no matter what you do as a DB, you're wrong.
Sounds like a difficult job. Alford, just inside his own 20. Spins his way just outside the 35. Big start here for Jake Dolegala. For more on him, let's send it down to John Luke.
Yeah, well, Jake Dolegala says that the loudest game he's ever taken part in was when he was a healthy scratch with the Cincinnati Bengals at their season opener in Seattle in September 2019. And Dolegala says that as a backup who got a few reps in last year's Banjo Bowl, the volume rivaled that as well. So this is a completely different animal as the starter. And to that end, part of his preparation this week was practicing with crowd noise in Regina. The rest of his prep was driven by the confidence that he's gained in 2 straight wins over the top 2 teams in the West Division, but he's also finding out Winnipeg Blue Bombers are a very different animal after losing at the Labor Day Classic, guys.
Yeah, different team at home. 5-1 so far at home this year are the Bombers. Another completion to Tevin Jones there.
Watch how Dolegala here will lift his leg on the snap count. I'll show you. Watch Dolegala. There he lifts his leg.
Back to Jones again. DeMario Houston finishes him off.
So that's how you're trying to handle offensively some of the crowd noise. So the crowd, you can't shout out the signals. Hard to hear them from the coach, first of all, because that's what he's doing now. But you can't shout out the signals. They won't hear it, the teammates. So you got to lift up the leg, and anytime after that, Peter Godberg can snap the football. So every one of the offensive guys have to be looking at Peter Godberg on their way to the line of scrimmage.
Winnipeg brings some pressure, gets rid of it quickly. Schaefer Baker on the far side of the field, trying to stretch it ahead. He will be stopped short of the first down.
What that does, Dustin, it takes away from your advantage offensively, because the snap count is advantage offense. You know what the snap count is. The defense has to react when the ball moves. Doesn't matter what they hear. They just react when the ball moves. So when you can't use the snap count to your advantage, it takes away that edge from the offense. Now you got to lift your leg, and Peter Godberg decides when you're going to snap it.
Pipkin into the game. 3rd and 1 on the Rider 54.
They can't even hear the call now.
Pipkin trying to push ahead.
I don't know.
I don't think he got it. I'm not sure it was even close. Needed the 55. And that'll be a turnover on downs as things go from bad to worse for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Taking away the snap count. That's crowd noise.
Pipkin simply nowhere to go.
Why is it always the guys with no hair?
Unbelievable.
They're always primping. Diva.
Oh, don't go anywhere. Halftime breakdown coming up. Winnipeg gets the ball back here. This is bad news for the Riders. Winnipeg has scored a touchdown on all 4 possessions in this ballgame, and that's after scoring on the first 8 possessions in some way, shape, or form of last year's Banjo Bowl. They'll get it to Lawler. Lawler takes it down inside the 45. Another Winnipeg first down.
Let's go back to the big stop on defense for the Bombers to give them another shot with the football before halftime. Here it is, and you're going to see Adam Bighill again jump into your screen from the right, and he stops the forward momentum of Antonio Pipkin. No go. The no-fly zone. Adam Bighill's in there.
You okay going for it? I mean, you're down by 22. It's a yard.
No, yeah, I think
you kind of got to get something going offensively here at this point. Bombers didn't allow it to happen. And now Brady Oliveira, massive hole right up the middle. And he comes ahead for another first down for Winnipeg.
DeMarcus Hardrick is going to get on that second level, as I talked about in the run game. You got to get somehow an offensive lineman big on little. It's called, you get the big on little right here. That's DeMarcus Hardrick on Larry Dean. Maybe a little bit of holding, but get big guys on the linebackers. You got it. Your running back is loving it.
88 yards on the ground for Oliveira. Collaros down to Schoen again. Got it again. Come on. 5 touchdowns for the Bombers. Second of the game for Schoen. And the party is on at IG Field.
Well, based on what's happening here, 5 series, 5 offensive possessions for the Bombers, 5 touchdowns, 2 to Schoen. Time he took Nick Marshall, got in behind him. You may see Drew Brown early in the second half.
We saw Drew Brown last year in this game because the Bombers had it in full control. And boy, do they ever hear. 35-6. Buck Pierce looking like a genius right now.
Well, the execution of Zach Collaros is just off the hook great. I mean, 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. The guy just circled is Dalton Schoen. There he is, and he's going down the numbers. Now, Nick Marshall looks like he's looking back to possibly play the ball. Meanwhile, Schoen is just separating. And then is too late to get there. Collaros on the roll, throwing on the run. Nice little drop in the bucket over the shoulder to Schoen. Tremendous accuracy. Saw the DB in a trail position. Led Schoen out in front. Some adjustments to be made for Jason Shivers, defensive coordinator.
Last year in the Banjo Bowl, Collaros had 4 touchdown passes, 273 yards. This year in the first half, he has 4 touchdown passes, 217 yards. Now 26 touchdown passes on the year. Far and away, your league leader, Mario Alford. Can he provide a spark? Does not look like it. Bombers downfield, forcing him out of bounds. with 1:39 left in the half.
Well, the key for Saskatchewan now is don't look at the scoreboard.
Just play football.
Honestly, that's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. Just don't look at the scoreboard. Think of it as one play at a time, one completion at a time, one block at a time, and see what happens as the game kind of unfolds in the second half. But they can't stop the Bomber offense right now.
Start on their own 20. Dolagala completes it up to the 35. And that'll be taken all the way up to the 40, but a 20-yard pickup. First time today that Samuel Emilus has touched the ball.
Jake Dolagala, he's nice. He throws a nice football.
He does, doesn't he?
Nice, tight spiral. Make the wide throws. I asked Zach Collaros actually about him. I always do. I ask the veteran quarterbacks about the young guys. He said, real impressed with his arm strength to the outsides.
He goes there a lot, too.
Yeah.
A lot of action on the outside here. 4 options to his left, goes to his right. That one had to get rid of it quickly, and it falls incomplete. Prior to that, he had completed 75% of his passes so far in this game. Hasn't turned it over. Their defense cannot stop Winnipeg whenever they're on the field.
And Dolagala had a big hill problem there. He had a big hill issue.
A lot of people over the years have had a big hill issue.
Went on a blitz there and was right beside him.
Saskatchewan's defense does give up the most points in the league at 27.5. They've surrendered 35 here in the first half. Dolagala gets this one away again to his running back. And Retta Cramdy is a problem for Jamal Morrow, and that'll bring up third down.
16th overall pick by the Bombers in 21. Just keeps getting better with every rep. Again, they've got some guys that are playing fantastic, having good seasons. Evan Holm, Retta Cramdy, Ricky Walker. These talented guys in this team that you kind of lose some of them.
And they've worked their way into what was already a really good defense, right?
Talk about Jefferson and Jeff Coat all the time, and Big Hill, of course, but some unsung heroes on this team.
Korsak gets it away, spinning it to the waiting arms of Parker, who is taken down immediately by Deontay Williams. Well, lots to discuss on both sides of this football. Winnipeg's offense looks terrific. Riders looking for answers here, and Kate in the panel will try to have some of those answers for you at halftime.
Well, started out the game pounding Brady Oliveira, and Riders are going to have to adjust to that at halftime. That's loading the box more. What that does, though, is put a little more pressure on your secondary. You have to bring those linebackers closer to the line of scrimmage.
Handing it off again to Oliveira. And a pretty good chunk right up the middle. Give him at least 5 yards on that carry.
I thought that Zach Collaros may try to really test Jackson Ford in the middle. Now, he's not a one-on-one guy. It's not like you look at a matchup there. Your free safety is not that type of player, but he really hasn't. I mean, they're just running their offense. I think Jackson Ford is doing a pretty nice job in his first start in the middle.
2nd and 5 as the clock ticks down. Collaros, another big shot down the field, drops it in at the 30. Kenny Lawler all the way down to the 10, and the Bombers continue to pour it on against their rivals.
Nick Marshall gets up and press here against Kenny Lawler. Collaros saw it immediately. Lawler, little move off the line of scrimmage. Again, there's that separation. Marshall's not looking back. That didn't cause it that time. That was just a foot race, and Lawler won it.
1st and goal from the Saskatchewan 8 as Winnipeg looks to add to the misery of the Riders here late in the 2nd quarter. Collaros, completion, end zone, touchdown! Dalton Schoen again, give him 3 in the first half. And it is all Winnipeg. Wow.
Mentioned Nick Marshall's interception last week. He's having a tough first half this week.
Dalton Schoen's last 3 catches. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And just like that, he has 10 on the season. And Winnipeg has hung 42 on the Riders in the first half of the Banjo Bowl.
Little change motion up here between Lawler and Dalton Schoen, and you see Nick Marshall in the top right-hand corner of your screen up here. He's just going to be a little bit high in his back pedal and a little bit soft down on the goal line. That's a bang route from Dalton Schoen. He just plays off them both by about 4 yards. And Zach Collaros says, hey, if you're gonna play off 83, I'm gonna put it right between those 2 numbers for him. 3rd touchdown in a row for Dalton Schoen.
6 possessions, 6 touchdowns. Absolutely ridiculous what Winnipeg is doing. I don't know if you'll see Zach Collaros again in this game. I don't know why you'd roll him out in the second half when you're up 42-6. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll see Drew Brown at some point, but I don't know why you'd bring Zach back out.
We will. Maybe to start the half and then a series or
maybe,
2.
Maybe. Riders shell-shocked. Low kick. This one will be stopped and brought back up near side. All the way out beyond the 45. And Glenn, what can you say? What can you say about this half? Holy smokes.
Don't look at the score clock if you're wearing white and green.
Come out and play a half of football.
Don't look at the scoreboard. Play a half of football for the Bombers. Hey, their fans are loving this. Loving it.
Zach Collaros, 285 yards, 5 touchdowns. Brady Oliveira, his running back, 10 carries for 93 yards. He also had 4 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. That's where it really all started, isn't it?
Yeah, he set the tone. I mean, their offensive line did in the trenches, and just basically open it up for Brady Oliveira both through the air and running the ball. Basically set the tone of the game in the first quarter, and then Zach Collaros went to work through the air as the second quarter came on and started hitting 83.
Brady Oliveira is with our John Luke.
Brady, I have a feeling that you're going to mention bully ball.
Wait, because the video will expose you there if you do that as a player.
Hey, a chance to make history. Biggest comeback in Banjo Bowl history, 11 points.
There you go.
They got about 36 to overcome here. Something to look forward to. Here's Mario Alford to the 30. Now Alford stopped at the 39. And they've kept Alford in check for most of the evening after he put up well over 200 return yards. Last week, Dolegala, 10 of 14, 92 yards. Didn't turn the ball over or anything. Just basically spent most of the half on the sideline watching.
Exactly. And there's 6 touchdown drives by Zach Collaros. He just didn't get on the field very much.
Collaros, 5 touchdown passes in the first half, ties his career high for a game. Quick toss out to Jamal Morrow. Big Hill wraps him up and takes him down just outside the Rider 45.
You know, and the Bombers have to do the same thing. They have to keep playing hard. And it's a different reason and a different feeling. You're way out ahead. You know, you feel about you can't let, as a player in this scenario, you can't let relaxing because you're so far ahead creep into your mind, because that's when you can get injured.
7-yard pickup for Morrow. Leaves them in 2nd and 3 on their own 46. Back to the ground. Morrow trying to push ahead. And that extra effort, a little bit of help from his offensive line, has enough for a Saskatchewan first down.
Willie Jefferson was hanging on there. He tried to Watch number 5 grab him by the jersey and just cut. Get back here. No, get back. Good. No, can't. Okay.
Strong fingers. Had him by just a couple of them. Managed to hang on for a little bit. Got an extra push there from Brandon Council. I think that helped Morrow get to where he needed to go. Fresh set at the 49 for the Riders. Lagala. Completion. Emelis spin move. And then taken down. Kyrie Wilson comes over to help out on the tackle.
The other thing, if you're a Bomber now, and I'm just going to say it, you shouldn't probably think this way, but you do as a player. You're way ahead. You start thinking about stats. Maybe I could pad my totals if I'm Jackson Jeffcoat with a couple sacks here in this runaway win. And Willie Jefferson's been off the board for a few weeks in a row here.
He'd love one. Pipkin able to turn it back upfield, and that'll be enough for a first down for the visitors.
I agree with Craig Dickinson, though, about the first half for the Riders not being typical of what they've shown the last couple of weeks. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, they beat top 2 teams in the division. They've got a receiving core that has kind of flown under the radar as far as receiving cores in the league. Everyone talks about this one for the Bombers, of course. The
rightfully so, yeah.
Rightfully so. The BC Lion receiving core, rightfully so. And meanwhile, this receiving core in Saskatchewan gets better every game.
They'll hand it off to the rookie. Nice push ahead, and that'll be a first down for Bertrand Houdon.
There's a pretty big hit there in the middle from the safety in Brandon Alexander. Houdon just lowered the pad level and took it on. Good for him. All-star safety coming downhill.
30th overall pick out of Delaware State. Now getting looked at on the sideline after the end of that last play. Lagala from the Winnipeg 39. Outside. Emelis spins it back up. And he's got another first down for the Riders, and finally something to build on offensively, even though you're trailing 42-6.
Well, despite the the scoreboard, and for Jake Dolagala, who's in start number 4, valuable reps against a very good defense. Wide out position, little bang route again. Seeing a lot of those.
Once again, Dolagala down the field. Schaefer Baker got turned around. Ball was behind him, got a hand on it, but couldn't haul it in.
I think the pressure collapsing around Dolagala, he rushed this just a bit, and I don't mean rush it as in it was his mistake. Rushed it because he had to, or he was getting sacked, and it was a heater outside.
Thrown a couple behind Schaefer Baker so far today. One would have been a touchdown in the early going. 2nd and 10 from the 26, and flags fly as that ball is snapped.
Illegal procedure. Saskatchewan number 61. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
Brandon Council backed them up 5 yards. He's into the game. Colin Kelly injured. Council gets in, first-year rider out of Auburn. Second and 15. Jeffcoat gets there and takes him down. And Dolagala is back up, but he was slow getting up. 3rd down.
Yeah, and speaking of Brandon Council, he's the right tackle. Now, in fairness to Council, he's played left tackle this season. Different footwork, and that time Jackson Jeffcoat pads the stats.
5th sack of the season for Jeffcoat. He came out of that with the football, still has it in his hands there. The officials are discussing the end of that play. Let's see if we can get another look at this. Was this ball out? Yes, it is out.
Does he recover it immediately? Actually, it looks like it does.
Looks like he might have.
Slow motion.
There it is out. Dolegala originally had his hands back on it, but Jeffcoat swoops in there and takes this ball away.
So on the previous play, the quarterback, before he hit the ground, there, and the ball was recovered by Winnipeg. Therefore, first down Winnipeg.
Jeffcoat does it all. Second forced fumble of the year for 94.
One of those 5 guys is right beside you, Joe Poplawski, number 71, one of your former teammates. How many of them reached out to you after learning that you would be honored this way?
Quite a few. As a matter of fact, I got an email or text from Joe today. He's in 106 today, looking down, and I know we used to sit by each other in the locker room. So, and he was one of the first guys when I came up to Canada to play, he and Rick House, that really motivated me and gave me an opportunity to say, hey, man, this is a great football league, and it's because of those guys.
Is this honor magnified in that this is happening at a time when the Bombers are going through a run of success, not dissimilar from your 3 Grey Cups in the 80s?
Well, I guess you can say that. You know, these guys have deserve all the credit. They've earned it, and they really remind me of the era that we played in the 80s. So we're looking for, as you know, anything can happen in the CFL. It's been a great to watch them this year. And in 1988, we were a 9-9 football team and ended up winning the Grey Cup. So anything is possible. So that's why every week you have to come to play. And these guys, I love their energy, and these fans are the energy. They're they're the fuel that fuel these guys, and so the energy behind them, and it's just a great. I'm just so happy and thrilled to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, the fans certainly gave you love at halftime. Again, congratulations, James, and thank you for spending time with us here.
Thank you very much.
15th person to be honored up top.
James Murphy was tough as they came. I mean, you know, when you try to get a hit on a receiver, you always, as a DB or linebacker getting a hit on a receiver, you want to take a look at him. As you're getting up and he's getting up, you look if it really affected him. Did it affect him or not? You can't really intimidate a pro athlete, but I mean, does a big hits affect him? And James Murphy would have this smile. That smile he's got on his face right now, no matter how hard you hit him, it would be like, oh yeah, good, first down. I hear you.
Over 9,000 yards, 61 touchdowns, 9 years. 6 of those years he had 1,000-yard seasons. He has a 1,000-yard season right now, pushing ahead.
One of the best. I mean, you know, and that team had great offensive lines, excellent quarterbacking, and those teams that he played on, good run game. Much like, I think that was a great question by John, and just to compare, you know, a really good Bomber team and Bomber offense that is very balanced with Brady Oliveira right now in the passing game with Zach Collaros and his receiving corps.
Zach Collaros, 300 yards passing today. 5th 300-yard game of the year for him. Prukop into the game, short yardage, didn't need much, 3rd in inches. And he has got the job done. Winnipeg's offense will stay on the field.
We'll be interested to see how Michael O'Shea handles that now with Zach Collaros. Do you give him this series, eat up halfway or most of the 3rd quarter, and then that's it? You know, the no lead is safe slogan that is true most of the time in the CFL.
But
it's true most of the time. I'm not sure it's going to be true this time, but it's true most of the time.
He's out there now. Tied his career high today with 5 touchdown passes. His running back's got 100 yards. Schoen and Lawler both have 100 yards. It'll back on the ground again. And look at this. Look at this pile being moved here. Still eventually stopped shy of a first down, but what an effort here in the third quarter by a Bomber team leading by a bunch.
And then you think about Nick Dembski, he's on pace for a 1,200-yard season.
Already has his career high this year.
Career high, yeah, last week as far as in game. But it was interesting. John mentioned Joe Poplawski and Rick House back in those days, the Canadian receivers that were part of the really great Bomber teams in the 80s, and they've got that sort of element here too with Nick Dembski.
Dembski at 29 years old looks like he's still just getting better and better every year. 2nd and 3. Brewcop in the game. He'll hand it off. And Brady Oliveira has another Winnipeg first down. 6 touchdowns on 6 possessions in the first half of this ball game. Zach Collaros has never not bounced back after a loss with Winnipeg. 6-0 following a defeat since joining the club.
Yeah, not as a starter here. That's quite remarkable, really. I mean, his record as a Bomber just crazy good.
Gets hit, gets hammered as he throws, and that one almost intercepted. And this is the discussion we have about Zach being in the football game still. He took a heavy hit as he let that one fly. Interested to see what Bombers fans think about this.
Well, exactly. And, you know, again, based on last week, and we've moved on from it, but it's a very different scenario of stuff that happens within the play and stuff that happens after the whistle. And last week was after the whistle incident. This week is in play. Some of these hits you can discuss and talk about. Were they close? Were they late? All of those things. But the question, too, the bigger picture question is Zach Collaros is still in the game. You know, it's 42-6, and that's what you're concerned with if you're Michael O'Shea.
Yeah.
As he's throwing, he gets hit.
Well, you have a backup who's really good, too, in Drew Brown, right? Like, we're going to see Drew Brown here at some point, I would think. Collaros towards the far side. Drops another one in there, but Lawler can't hang on. He's calling for a flag. That would have been a career-high 6th passing touchdown for Zach.
He wants Coach O'Shea to go ahead and challenge this. Lawler's on the outside, press coverage again. This time it's Jeremy Clark.
Distracted enough to drop that one. We've seen Lawler pull in a number of remarkable catches just this season since returning to Winnipeg. Castillo puts it through. Points on every possession for Winnipeg. In full control of the Banjo Bowl.
.com/Fortinet Cup.
Well, this game is no longer in doubt, but this was a little bit earlier in the game, and guys still got to put in 100% effort.
Tanner Cadwalader goes all the way down on this cover team, gets his helmet blasted off, stays in the fight, stays in there without it. That gets you pushed up closer to the starting defensive lineup pretty quickly. Wilfrid Laurier product.
Willie Jefferson all over it. Schaefer Baker nowhere to go. As soon as he got that ball, Jefferson had gobbled him up.
Throughout his career, Willie Jefferson can redirect like the best of them. I mean, he's as good as it gets, changing directions for a big man.
5-yard loss. Dolegala spins away from one. Redick Cramdy is there, and he'll take him down for the sack. Second of the game for Cramdy.
Well, Willie Jefferson was like a windmill coming off the edge, and that's why Dolegala had to duck. I mean, he watched Jefferson coming off the edge here like just a wild windmill, arms flailing around, and he just flushes Dolegala up into the pocket, and Cramdy's there to get the stat.
Jefferson still causing issues for quarterbacks around the league on a rather regular basis coming into this game. 8 sacks and 11 knockdowns for Willie. Korsak keeps this away. Parker back on it. No Janarian Grant just yet for Winnipeg as Parker brings this up along the far sideline. Nowhere else to go. Nowhere else to go against this Bombers defense today. Had one of these this year.
Well, apparently C.J. Rivas had an issue in warm-up with one of his fingers, and Brett Lowther was in there to try and help his teammate and absolutely could not watch as they were popping it back in place, and C.J. Rivas said, yep, good, I'm good to go. I'm gonna go out there and chill and do my thing, and Brett Lowther's over there going,
yeah, not so much. Not so much.
Couldn't watch.
Had a few of those probably today, I would think.
Wow. Apparently it started early in the morning outside.
Back to Brady Oliveira. Look at him go. Brady Oliveira does it again all the way up to midfield. Running all over the Riders all day.
Wow, this is just Brady Oliveira really padding him stats now. And, you know, the only question mark I have now for the Bombers from their perspective is a couple of interesting efforts on the tackle attempts down the field. But the only question is Zach Collaros still on the field.
Still in this game. 45-6 late in the third quarter.
It's just risky. I'd just say it's risky.
Wolodarski first time today. He's got a catch, takes it down inside the 35.
You know, if it's Jake Dolegala in this kind of game, I get it.
Keep him in here, get him the reps.
He needs the reps. I mean, you know, you're in your fourth start. You're still working with the receiving core and the number ones. It's only been a month that he's been working really consistently with the number one group. So the timing and understanding their body language and all of that's important, but not this guy.
Yeah, if he throws a pass and his thumb hits a helmet or something.
Yeah, and you know, I've been in this. It's funny, all the years of covering this league, and Mark Trestman used to do this as well. He would leave Anthony Calvillo in.
Yeah.
After or throughout a blowout, you know, could be 30-point lead in the fourth, and Anthony Calvillo would be in. And I'm certainly not, you know, criticizing the coach's decision here. I'm just, I always would lean on the safety of Zach Collaros and the risk that's involved.
Just over a minute remaining here in the third quarter. Deontay Williams has been taken out by the spotter. We'll be back in just a moment. Elks and Stampeders.
Real good chance that'll be a tight one.
At Commonwealth and Edmonton. Yeah. That's a big game again for both teams. 1st and 10 from the Rider 32 for Collaros. They'll give it to Brady Oliveira, and Oliveira pushing ahead. Oh boy, that run ended in a hurry. C.J. Rivas was there. Oliveira with the best rushing game of the season, highest rushing total of the year in the Canadian Football League today. This will put him over 150.
C.J. Rivas with a dislocated thumb.
And a thud here.
That's an example of when you look at the scoreboard at the bottom of your screen, a player still giving it all he's got in Rivas.
152 yards for Oliveira is a new career high. Tack on a few more here.
Over 200 of offense for Oliveira.
Yeah, 57 yards on 4 catches in the air. And then now just shy of 160 on the ground.
Into other games, but I really believe that, not just because of his big numbers tonight, but I really believe Buck Pierce offense starts with him. I mean, he's the tone setter for this team.
It's also that they go to late in games to seal things away as well, right? So a couple of different ways that they really utilize him. And it is tough to just look at one aspect of this Winnipeg offense. It's averaging almost 32 points per game. But I think a lot of people will probably agree with you. Ruka, first down. And that is how the third quarter comes to a close. All Bombers here at home in the Banjo Bowl. Party has been on early and often at IG Field. 45-6. Winnipeg on top through 3. The books at IG Field, Winnipeg on top 45-6, dominating every aspect of this football game.
Yeah, a lot of big numbers on the right side, a lot of smaller numbers on the left side, and the scoreboard really tells the story, and the stats back it up.
Zach Collaros, excellent, but Brady Oliveira, just a monster early in this game, and now they've gone back around to him here late in the third quarter.
In the first quarter, we put up a board that said, the question was, are the Bombers still the #1 team in the league? And showed you the stats that would indicate that they are. And with all due respect to the Argos, who I think are maybe 1A.
Well, they're right there too, yeah.
Right there too. I think about games like this one for sure, but also when Zach Collaros throws 2 pick-6s and the Bombers still win by 20. Or excuse me, 30.
That was 30 yeah.
That game. And that just never happens. I mean, you throw 2 pick-6s in a game, you're not winning that game most of the time. But this team did.
Toronto will be here later in the month. Moncrief takes down Dembski on the near sideline.
It's a tough one for a guy like Micah Johnson on defense, who, again, about this time of year, I start to look at the players that I keep seeing in replays. I keep seeing making plays and doing their jobs very well, but aren't being talked about. That's why we talked about Evan Holm on the other side. But I think Micah Johnson's having an all-star season. I mean, 4 sacks, often you have to get up to around 7 or 8 by this time as an interior guy to be talked about as a perennial all-star or an all-star. But I think he's having an all-star season and doing his job. These are tough ones for him, the veterans.
2nd and 7. Back to the ground here. Oliveira wrapped up that time. 3rd down.
Well, let me show you what Micah has to deal with, and true interior defensive tackles have to deal with almost every play. 2 big boys, Neufeld and Hardrick, in the double team, and he's got to plug that gap. That's 50 plays a game.
That's a long day, isn't it?
That's what you're doing, 50 plays a game.
Long day at the office right there.
One of the captains that had a great discussion with Pete Robertson after last week's game, and one of the leaders on that team.
Castillo tosses 3 more. 48-6 Winnipeg. Chris Streveler in the house. His prize for being here. An interview with John Liu when we return.
The tailgate segment before the game, what's it been like for you being back here in Beg City?
It's been unbelievable. I knew it was going to be exciting, and I knew the fans were going to show love, and it's surpassed my wildest expectations. So, this is like a second home to me, and I just appreciate what the organization did for me, giving me an opportunity, and it's where I started my career. It's special to me.
How much did you connect with the guys that were your teammates, especially part of the 2019 Grey Cup team?
I saw some of the guys yesterday just kind of popping in and out, but I'm going to be meeting up with a lot of them tonight after the game. So I know they were focused, leading up to the game, obviously a big game, and so didn't want to bother them too much, but I'll be reconnecting with a lot of them tonight.
What do you think of this Banjo Bowl? I mean, you experienced it firsthand, but I mean, crooked score, honoring James Murphy, one of the greats in Bombers history.
I got to meet James, great guy, obviously a legend. 48-6. that says what it needs to say. And the energy in here is just electric. So it's been an amazing day, and I'm really glad I got to come back for it.
Very quickly, final one, Chris. What does your immediate football future hold for you?
Yeah, well, I just got healthy. I got injured in the preseason, and so I just gave my agent the green light to start reaching out to NFL teams. And so, you know, there's been some little nibbles, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm just really looking forward to whatever the next opportunity is down there, and going to be ready to take advantage of it when that call comes.
Well, best of luck with that. Thanks for spending time with us, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Chris Streveler.
Yeah, just what a great role he took on in that 2019 season and championship season for the Bombers. Great parade there. That was great vids there.
He said that jacket was his ex-girlfriend's mother's, and he doesn't have it anymore. 3rd and short, trying to push ahead. That extra effort may have been enough. I think it is. And the Riders will try to keep this offense on the field. They do get the first down.
What a great preseason, too, that Streveler had when he went down south, and reminded me of another pretty good preseason of a kid playing last year in the Canadian Football League that went down south.
Well, we've seen him in BC earlier in the season with his family checking out
in Nathan Rourke, yes.
Yeah. Oligala in trouble. Willie Jefferson can't take him down. He actually dumps it off to his running back for a short pickup, with Willie Jefferson literally hanging off of his back.
You know, this game is done, but you know, I think Jake Dolegala is a guy that the Riders can continue to build around and continue to believe in.
I don't think you read into too much today from Dolegala and all of a sudden panic. First road start, this one incomplete, and one of the most difficult situations in the entire league for Dolegala. Still has looked after the football today, but Winnipeg's defense just on another level here this afternoon.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to him in back-to-back weeks too, and just have a great conversation about the game and his approach to it, and very level-headed guy. I think they can really build around him. And no, tonight was not his fault at all. Not the offense's fault at all. The Rider defense could not stop this Bomber offense tonight, period.
And Dolegala's completed actually 75% of his passes now for limited yardage. But Winnipeg has done whatever they want offensively.
Yeah, that's really that's the best way to say it. Whether they ran the ball or didn't,
they got what they wanted.
They got what they wanted. They did whatever they wanted.
Collaros watching as Brown heads out onto the field. Drew Brown into the football game with just over 10 minutes left. We've seen a little bit of Drew Brown. He's looked good this year when he's got that ball.
Absolutely. 3rd year with the Bombers out of Oklahoma State. Captain with that team, leader in that team, of course, in that position.
Takes off on the run here, out to his right to the 30, and he'll go for a slide, keep it in bounds.
So let's see the final numbers for starting quarterback QB1 Zach Collaros, who, as you mentioned, Dustin, pretty much did whatever he wanted to do offensively tonight. 18 of 21, 319. And let's be honest, in the 2 series that he was in the 3rd quarter, they were kind of running the ball and just winding this one down.
Probably should have had a touchdown to Lawler, though. He dropped one, and that would have been his career high 6 touchdown passes. We talked about last year, Banjo Bowl. First 8 possessions of the game, Winnipeg scored points. This year's Banjo Bowl, first 8 possessions of the game, Winnipeg scored points. 6 touchdowns.
5 touchdown throws tonight for Collaros. That one just creating some magic from the backfield while being pulled down. That's Kenny Lawler got down to the end zone. 3 to Dalton Schoen.
On 3 straight completions to Schoen. A 27 touchdown passes on the season for the back-to-back MOP. Certainly has himself in that discussion again this year.
Oh yeah.
Today didn't hurt hurt his case, that's for sure. Brown. Wolotarski cuts it back at midfield, and Drew Brown comes in and picks up right where Zach left off.
Well, yeah, you know, and I think it's interesting that there's been some that have tried to take him out of the conversation because of some recent interceptions of late. But, you know, I mentioned those 2 pick sixes against Montreal and still won by 30 points. So, you know, he is definitely a front runner in that regard. Chad Kelly, I think, is in the discussion for sure. There are others, and it was a great conversation this week with Zach, you know, about the Pete Robertson thing. He was real happy that they talked, and they're all good. And I'm not bringing that back up to, you know, unearth the whole discussion again. Just to say, at some point, maybe in the offseason, maybe at another date, there's a bigger picture discussion that probably should go on, and I'd love to have a guy like Zach Collaros, just a well-respected guy who's played in that quarterback position, who has taken a bunch of those type of things, a bunch of those little hits. I don't mean little to minimize it. I'm just talking about the after the whistle stuff, the late stuff, things like that. It just seems like he's been a victim of a bunch of them. And it'll be a good big picture discussion in the offseason to eliminate it, to get it out of there.
Couple of yards needed here. Pushed right ahead, and look at this burst. Johnny Augustine all the way down to the 10, and he picks up where Brady Oliveira left off. Bombers offensive backups getting the job done.
Well, it doesn't change the guys up front. They're still getting their job done, and when you get holes like that where you're not getting touched by anyone till you get into the secondary, and then it's all the DBs that had a shot and missed too. So it's a pursuit of a defensive lineman, and it's Charbel DeBeer, I believe, who tracks him down. It was DeBeer.
Great hustle from DeBeer to get back there.
Well, that'll be a plus for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch the video, there's a guy who didn't quit.
Brown misses Augustine there, had A.J. Allen in his face as he tried to connect with his running back.
You know, and in blowouts like this, and one of the reasons that I bring up to, you know, Coach O'Shea making the decision and when he's going to bring the backup out is not just to protect this, you know, the health of the starter, QB1, but it's also, it allows your backup to keep the pedal to the metal, you know, because I'm just telling you, they want to keep putting points on the board and make as big a statement as they possibly can. And when you're kind of rubbing it in, that's when people start saying, you know, you were running up the score and all of those things. Your backups have to play hard. They're trying to.
Brown to the corner, incomplete. Kenny Lawler working there against Amari Henderson.
He looks like he's getting up a little bit slow. Maybe be his last game. Action went down on his back there. But that way, you say as a coach, you go, hey, we put our backups in and
mixed in everybody.
Yeah, and they have to keep playing hard. And by the way, as a defender against in a blowout like this, where you're on the wrong end of it, don't give us pity. Just keep playing hard. I've told the story before, but we were playing against Montreal one year, and Mike Pringle went all the way down the field, and on the 1 yard line they kneeled 3 times. One of my worst moments in football. Embarrassing.
Come on down to Winnipeg. You know what I'm saying? Got the J's on with the.
Did you see how serious Zach Collaros' bobblehead was next to Willie Jefferson's bobblehead?
Well, this is a great idea. It's life-size bobbleheads to get some fan interaction in the stadium. They'll be around the stadium.
On the concourse
on the
here,
concourse, you get pictures with them. And they've got them in the NFL. They got them in Major League Baseball. And Fans love it. What a great idea. Adam Bighill has one. Jake Patterson in the game now for Saskatchewan, getting some reps, but
Zach Collaros has one as well. Oh, he got the ball and everything. And look, he's so serious, even with the head bobbing a little bit. But a cool concept though here for fans to come and have an opportunity to take a couple of pictures.
exactly, with our phones, everything is about the phone and the picture and getting a shot and the selfie and all of those things. Now you can get it with bobblehead Willie Jefferson. Love it.
Patterson, just over 4 minutes left, gets into this game, working from his own 50. Dolegala get the rest of the night off. Patterson on the run, out to his right, has a completion to his running back. And he's close to a first down. Here is Zach Collaros on his bobblehead.
I didn't see it until, I guess, at the end of practice, and somebody walked up to me and said, "You gonna bring that home with you?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" There's 50 yards across the field was a bobblehead. I said, "No, man, what am I gonna do with it? We got enough stuff as it is." But it was cool. My parents got into town, and they were able to see it with my kids, so that was cool. My kids were pumped. Yeah, they pressing the head and everything back, so they thought it was funny. The Capri was a little afraid, but Sierra thought it was cool.
Big carry up the middle once again for Thomas Bertrand.
I love that he was asked, are you going to take it home? Could you imagine? Well, could you imagine walking into your house and your family going, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm bringing a bobblehead life-size of me to put in the front yard." Come on.
That would be pretty funny. Well, I think John Liu's text to us, he said a couple of the guys did ask if they could take him home, but the team said when you retire a bomber, you can have it.
So you can take it then.
Confirmed Willie Jefferson's never leaving because he's going to want to get a hold of that bobblehead when his career's over. Patterson, tough to get a hold of him. A flag here as he turns it upfield. This one's going to be a hold. And that'll take us inside 3 minutes of our middle game on Super Saturday triple header. Next time you're at IG Field.
Ford running for 135 yards. What does he have in store tonight? Jake Maier, though, led his team back 22 points in the fourth. Battle of Alberta coming up next.
That'll be a really good football game. We did that one on Monday. It was a phenomenal game. Great finish by Calgary, and Trey Ford was spectacular in the early going of that one.
Trey Ford put a show on in a losing effort, but just a great show of athleticism. I mean, and he is a great pure passer. I mean, you can see him throwing on the run. I've seen him against Hamilton and other teams in this sort of month-long run for Trey Ford. Be able to pick up blitzes, find the hot routes, go through progressions, things like that. But athletically, a special talent.
First team to get a second look at him this year are the Calgary Stampeders. How much do you think 4 days will help you prepare after you just played him?
Yeah, it's going to be that much tougher, and there's got to be sort of a progression in the chess match for the Elks as well. So you know one thing, Calgary is going to try and keep him in the pocket. They're going to try and make him throw from deep in the pocket as much as they can, but he can make you miss.
It's tough to keep him in the pocket.
Yeah, you can load the line of scrimmage against Trey Ford and not keep him in there. So, but they will have to progress, get those hot routes. You got one-on-ones. One guy misses a tackle in the secondary with the throw. You've got all those guys committed to stopping him from running. That's how you beat it. So, the interesting matchup, and the Stamps have a great opportunity here to really get in the race.
Yeah. Well, and Lofter trying to sneak that one in. He will not. Misses it wide left. And Parker will bring it out on the far side of the field. Jamal Parker to the 15. And no further.
I say that because Jake Maier, I think, put together that comeback win in a time where they really needed to do that. I mean, the Stamps have been in so many close games and just not finished them and not found a way to get the W. And that on Monday they did that. They finished it. They came from behind to do it. And that can be a game changer for them. It can turn their season. Now they need to stack them, and stack them means winning right after us tonight.
Saskatchewan will fall to 6-6. Winnipeg will go to 10-3 here today. Edmonton had won a couple in a row. That loss to Calgary really hurt them because they would have been ahead of Calgary if they won the game. They pretty much have to have this one today if there's any sort of dreams of a possible crossover down the stretch for Edmonton.
Yeah, and Calgary with a win, you know, they're right in the fight for the 3rd spot in the West, and certainly solidifies any, if they can't get it and Saskatchewan beats them out down the stretch for the 3rd spot in the division, then they are looking at the crossover. So Hamilton with a big win last night, very important in fighting off the crossover.
Next up for the Riders will be Edmonton next week, so we'll see how that one plays out, depending on what happens next in the 3rd game of our triple header here. Saturday action on TSN.
And the Bombers have clinched a playoff spot with this win.
Augustine takes it out to the 25. So Winnipeg clinching. Toronto has already clinched as well. So things starting to sort of come into focus as we work our way through the final couple of months of the regular season. But it's going to be a very intriguing battle the rest of the way for everybody else. BC's had a few missteps along the way here as well, and try to get their game back on track.
Well, I'm already looking to, what is it, 3-4 weeks down the road when the Bombers go to BC Place and take on the Lions. Depending on where we are in the standings, you could see that as a battle for first in the division.
Well, and that'll be a week after Toronto is here. So Winnipeg goes Toronto, BC back-to-back late September, early October, which should be 2 excellent football games. It's the only time Winnipeg and Toronto meet all season, and there will be a lot of eyes on that game. And like we mentioned, the Riders here, Jake Dolegala, will be heading home to face Edmonton next week.
Yeah, another intriguing storyline for that Toronto game here will be the return of Andrew Harris, the mentor for a guy with over 200 yards of offense tonight.
Whatever he taught Brady Oliveira, it worked very well. It worked very well. Brady Oliveira tonight, 154 yards on 18 carries, had a receiving touchdown on 4 catches, caught all 4 balls that were thrown his way for 57 yards. Zach was great tonight. Brady Oliveira, maybe even better. He was outstanding as well.
And in his spare time, rescues puppies. So
just one of those really nice guys. Eh?
Superhero. He is well, as far as my wife's concerned, he's a superhero.
Yeah, she loves Brady, doesn't she?
Well, when I told her that he saves puppies in the off season and saved hundreds of puppies from freezing to death in Manitoba, instant favorite player.
And look at this. Jamison Sheen is actually dressed today. This is the first time he's had to punt the ball all day. I've seen him on the sideline.
No shower necessary.
Just waiting, yeah. You put on your street clothes and go home.
Yeah.
First punt of the game for Winnipeg comes with 30 seconds left on the clock. They'll kick it away from Mario Alford.
Well, we talked to Michael O'Shea, and he actually, for this game, wanted to shore up a little bit his cover teams, and he brought Malik Clements on as another linebacker on cover teams. So there's 2 ways to do that, like add some more linebacker DB types, or just not punt.
Don't punt, don't punt. Don't punt, stay away from it. Mario Alford doesn't get to return this one. He didn't return a punt.
Just don't.
All day. If you're the Riders here, you just forget about this one. You just watch this one. You just beat the Lions and you beat this team. So
no, listen, you got to watch it. I thought that, and in the old days we kind of did that, but I think you've got to learn from everything you do, good or bad, and the Riders will do that. They'll go back to the drawing board.
It's been a lot of good the last couple of weeks.
And back
for
to
the Riders.
And back to the video. Just go and watch it. Go see what happened. Why were the gaps so big, and why did Brady Oliveira have the day he had? Because at some point, if the Riders want to get where they want to be, the top dog on the porch, they're going to have to beat this team in the division.
Somebody will try to beat this team in the division. Has not happened for the last 3 years in the postseason. And it certainly was not even remotely close to happening today as the Bombers lock up a spot. Zach Collaros near perfect. And all in all, Winnipeg dominates from start to finish.
Yeah, toughest game of the regular season for the Riders every single year, and this year was no exception.
Labor Day may have been a classic,